Hello, my name is Karla Pagan, and this is my appropriate use presentation. Every day, millions of people log on to the World Wide Web. Use of digital materials and technologies is a recurring event. Whether you're checking your email, banking online, social networking with friends and family, playing games, or doing some kind of research, you are partaking of the use of digital materials and technologies. If you do not know something, help is just a few keystrokes and clicks away. But are you using the materials you find in a safe, legal, and ethical way? The safe, legal, and ethical use of digital materials and technologies can be a very confusing subject. As future educators, it is important for us to understand how to safely, legally, and ethically use digital materials and technologies. The term appropriate use has been applied to this subject. But what do the words appropriate use mean? To begin to understand how to appropriately use these types of resources, one must know about things like plagiarism, copyright laws, and the idea of fair use. Plagiarism is defined as an act or instance of plagiarizing. In a more clear thought, the word we should probably use would be plagiarize. Plagiarize means to steal and pass off the ideas or words of another as one's own, to use in others' productions without crediting the source, to commit literacy theft, present as new and original idea or product derived from existing sources. Basically, the idea is that it's wrong to take another person's work and try to pass it off as your own original piece of work. There are actually laws that have been established to protect the rights of an individual who has created an original piece of work. These laws are called copyright laws. The definition of the word copyright is the exclusive legal right to reproduce, publish, sell, or distribute the matter and form of something as a literary, physical, or artistic work, to secure a copyright on or secured by copyright. So a copyright is a type of law that gives protection to the creator of pieces of work. There are copyright laws that cover things like digital information as well as literacy, musical, and or artistic works. According to the U.S. Copyright Act, the following things could be considered protected under copyright laws: literary works, musical works, including any accompanying words, dramatic works, including any accompanying music, pantomimes and choreographic works, the plural graphic and sculptural works, motion pictures, other audiovisual works, sound recordings, and architectural works. There are some types of works that are not covered under copyright protection. These are works that have not been fixed, so they've not been recorded, notated, or written. Things like slogans, ideas, faxes, and publicly shared documents are also not covered under the copyright laws. One important thing to remember is that, after a copyright is expired, the covered work is no longer protected. Copyrights only last for a set amount of time. Usually, a copyright lasts for 70 years past the death of its creator. There are provisions, however, for what is covered under the copyright law for how long it is covered. This information can be found at www.copyright.gov. Even though a work may be protected by a copyright law, there are exceptions to using copyrighted works. The U.S. Copyright Act has provided for these exceptions. There are several sections of the Copyright Act that address the exceptions to using copyrighted materials. Sections 107 through 121 of the U.S. Copyright Act address these exceptions. To read more about these exceptions, one must simply look up the U.S. Copyright Act. Probably the most important thing to learn about in these exceptions is the idea of fair use. Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Act lists uses for copyrighted materials that might fall under a fair use situation. The things that might fall under fair use are things like criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. There are also 4 factors that you need to consider to decide if using a copyrighted work is fair or not. The four factors are: 1. The purpose and character of the use, including whether such use is of a commercial nature or as non-profit educational purposes. The nature of the copyrighted work. The amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. The effect of the use upon the potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. To decide if a copyrighted work falls under fair use, an individual must see if the way that they want to use that particular material meets any of the four factors previously mentioned. The best way to avoid using another individual's work is to check and see if the planned material used falls under public domain or is in fact copyrighted material. If in doubt, one should seek permission for the use of the materials. So what is appropriate use? Basically, appropriate use is knowing how to properly use materials obtained from another source or sources. One must learn about things like copyrights, copyright laws, the factors that apply under the Fair Use section of the U.S. Copyright Act, how to check and see if the materials used fall under public domain, and how to obtain permission to use a copyrighted work. Using materials in a safe, legal, and ethical way requires that an individual knows what plagiarism is and how to avoid it. They know what copyright is, know about the copyright laws, and you must know about fair use and when it can be applied. When writing a paper, creating a project, it is always smart and safe to give credit to the sources of the materials used. It is better to cite all sources than to open oneself to the possibility of plagiarizing someone else's work. As a future educator, it is truly important to understand the concepts presented. Everyone who has to research, write a paper, design a presentation, or compile information for a project needs to know how to appropriately use the resources that are available today and in the future. Thank you.